Hey, everybody. It's Matthew, and I'm one of the PAC mentors, as well as the lead of the certified community for PAC. And I'm here today to cover one of Teepa's webinars that she did a while back, which was this idea of okay, when we're looking at different gem states, what are some ways that we, as somebody who's trying to support that person in that moment, can do so and create this positive relationship, but still be able to get to that point of bringing out our agenda that we may have in that moment to help them with something. So we're going to go over each one of the gem states together. But before we do that, we're going to talk about the 5 different things that we're going to look at with each one of these videos that we'll watch of Teepa approaching Amanda and doing some of these skills to support that person while keeping that relationship and starting to bring out that agenda piece. So the first one, visual. We talk a lot about this in PAC, how important it is to get into somebody's visual field so that way it's not a surprise when we're coming over to actually interact with them in that moment. How often do we see, or how often do we ourselves sometimes surprise somebody in a moment when we approach them? We think they might have heard what we said, and we feel like we came in where they could see us. But if we don't make sure that we are getting into that visual field, what that could do to our relationship in that moment. The next one, verbal or auditory. So how we're using language to connect with that person. When it comes to the gem states, one thing that we talk about or that we'll see is that language does change. When it comes to that left side, that left temporal lobe, and those 3 skills that go along with it, we notice changes in this particular area and somebody's ability to come up with the names or the nouns of things, someone's ability to comprehend speech from somebody else, and someone to then use speech so that they can communicate effectively with somebody else. So recognizing that verbal piece in that moment and what we can do to support that person, especially then looking at that right side retained, what skills can we use from that right side of those 5 different skills to connect? The next one, which is the sensory motor, the touch. How we use that sensory motor or that touch to support that person in that moment so that way we can help them transition to something different, depending on, again, what our agenda is, or maybe what their agenda is in that moment, how we can support them with that. And noting definitely in this order that we want to make sure that we get that visual, that verbal before we ever touch. Because if we touch first and we haven't gotten that visual and verbal, sometimes this is what we get. That next one here is pace. How quickly are we approaching somebody in that moment? How quickly are we using our cues? But then also noticing on their side, how quickly they're doing something so that we can try to match that pace, how fast we're moving through what we're doing in that moment when it comes to making this connection and the difference that it makes for them. If they are able to stay with the pace that we're giving, or if we're too fast and we need to pause and slow down. Last one is our agenda versus their agenda. We have to recognize where their agenda is in that moment. If they have an agenda with something that they're doing, especially when we're approaching them, if we don't recognize that agenda and we try to jump straight to ours, this is what we're doing to that person in that moment, trying to force our agenda onto them when they have something themselves that they're trying to do in that moment. So what can we do to help them with their agenda so that we can meet that need in that moment? Because if we don't do this first, then how are we going to be able to get to our agenda and be able to do that successfully while maintaining a positive relationship? So recognize for yourself for a moment, when you're looking at these 5 different ways when it comes to these videos that we're going to watch, which are the ones do you find that you most often notice first?
This week, I am actually in Michigan because we went to Ontario at the beginning of the week and worked with 50 behavioral specialists with their organization up there. We trained 50 people in the PAC approach Monday and Tuesday. So we came back and did some work Wednesday and Thursday. And so today is my last day before I head back. So with me today as my able assistant is Amanda. So I'm with Amanda and Dan. Benji's on the side over here. We'll see how this goes because it's the 2 of us plus Benji in the house. So we'll see if we can maintain our PAC phenomena as things start to fall apart in the background, or whether or not one or more of us will become a diamond or even an emerald, or possibly down here in the corner, we might have an amber or ruby. Perhaps he'll turn into a pearl and quietly drift into silence. We aren't sure. We'll have to sort of see how this works itself out. You yourselves will get to observe all the gems all in one place, perhaps, or maybe we'll just role play. Hard to tell. Anyway, Corey's going to start us off. We'll work through, and our focus today is on how do you get to the task? How do you actually get to your agenda, get the agenda going, reinforce the agenda, and then complete the interaction. Always completing the interaction with the various gem states. And so Corey's going to get us started just with the technical side of the street. Then we're going to go over into content, move through it, be interactive, work through the process for the next hour and 30 minutes, or a little bit less. All right. So what we're going to do now is I am going to share my screen, and we're going to take a look at the PowerPoint briefly, and then we're going to get to work. So there we go. All right. So what we're focusing on today is getting your agenda on the books. And again, reminding ourselves that we want to pay attention to where is that person, which has been what we've been doing up to this point. So we've been doing our PPA, our positive personal connectors to them, which we've gone over in the first couple sessions. And now we're getting ready. Okay, so I know I've got them hooked on with me. And now I want to get the direction to shift a little bit toward the direction I need it to go. Now I want to be careful about the word need. In other words, it's what I came in here to do in the first place. It's what I know they have need of. So it could be that I'm absolutely right about my awareness and knowledge of what they are really looking for, what they're needing, what their body needs, what their brain needs, what they socially need or emotionally need. The challenge is how closely aligned are our 2 agendas. And we've used our skill set up to now to figure out what is their agenda. And now the tricky part is figuring out, okay, if their agenda and our agenda match already, then it's an easy switch over. Or if they don't have a very active agenda, then just simply engaging them in an agenda is all we're going to be doing. But if indeed their agenda and our agenda aren't matching up, then we've got to figure out how to shift these 2 around so that they come into alignment, or we're going to get resistance or pushback or non-participation or kickback. So we do want to always keep in mind our gems, but then there's an element as well, which is knowing about the me, the person on the other side of the equation, and also knowing about yourself, being real careful about that. And paying attention to what do they like you to call them? What's the side of interaction for social contact versus performance activities? So I may be absolutely fine with you being on my right for social interactions, but when it comes to task performance, if I'm a left-hander, you've got to figure out how to get yourself over on the other side, or when it comes to tasks, I'm absolutely going to refuse you. And it's not because I don't like you and I don't want to be with you. It's that you're on my wrong motor memory side and I can't do any of the things you're wanting me to do, and our two agendas can't match up. But you're trying to get me to do it with the wrong hand. I don't have a history with that. The more I know also about past places, past people, current awareness of places and people, it helps me figure out, when I'm trying to figure out the two agendas, how similar, how different, and then looking at what did you do in the past work-wise. Because if what I'm going to ask you to do feels uncomfortable or feels like it's not going to be something you like exactly, how did you feel about situations and what did you do about those in the past? And so it can help me. But also, what did I do for fun and music and family? All these things on this list, including leader versus follower. These are critical. Leader versus follower, introvert versus extrovert. And if the person is more of a doer, a talker, or a watcher. So knowing those things, having those embedded in my brain as I start to work with you will help me get a task started and help me be successful in my performance with you. And the only way to do it is to really get the message from you and then figure out how to continue to deliver a message with you, for you, and to you as we move forward. So we've done the relationship, we've got our PPC, our positive personal connection, and we now are checking out their agenda, our agenda, and now it's time to get ready here. So we've done the positive physical and the positive personal. So introductions, compliment, share, positive observation, find out. And we're pretty strong. We feel pretty good. It feels like we're getting in the right ballpark. So now what we're going to do is work on, okay, now it's time to pull out the agenda and look at your agenda. And you want to look at it carefully. What is it you really are trying to achieve during this interaction? And how does it match, not match the agenda of the other person? Then you want to think about, what are the abilities that they have? Can they shift gears? How well do they do that? Or do I need to be real careful about the switching of the gears? And of the gems, the ones that tend to have the most challenge will be rubies and ambers. But I would also say, depending on what it is, diamonds can give you a lot of pushback if you're trying to switch their agenda, if they're invested in their agenda. So that's what's important to know. And emeralds get stuck in an agenda. And pearls don't even realize you have an agenda. So those are those tricky kinds of things. Sapphires, usually as long as you are friendly and you're being nice, I'm not going to say no unless I don't have time. That sort of switches things up. Then knowing what drives a person to act, what makes you want to do something. And the better I can understand that about you, the more effective I'm going to be in getting you started on my agenda. And how do they disconnect or change? What helps them do that? What will make it okay for them not to be doing the thing they were doing in order to do the thing I want them to do? What do they need what do they need to know about what's going to be okay? What's going to get taken care of? How's it going to be left? What's important for that person to know about letting go of something before they move on to something? And then really being really aware of how many steps a person can follow. Because if I give too many steps, they either could skip steps, or it could be overwhelming and they come full stop, or they're not appreciating they need to move on because what happened is they like that step. Now they're getting stuck in that step. And it's like, okay, oops, all right, I didn't have the new thing out there in time. And so what happens is now they're stuck there, and I'm going to have to figure out how to disconnect them from that step to move them to the next step. And a perfect example in place of that is in the bathroom in the morning. There are so many tasks we want to get through. We want to get mouth care. We want to get hair care. We want to get washed up. We want to get the clothes off. We want to get the clothes on. We want to get the peeing in the toilet. We want to get the wiping. We want to get the drying. We want to get, and it's like, whoa, that's a lot of different things happening. Then the last two what for that person is reinforcing? What reinforces their effort without distracting them from the agenda? And then finally, what do you need to have ready to roll before you start the interaction so that you can be effective? Because if you think you're going to stop the interaction to go get things put together in the middle, well, then why did you ever start the interaction without having everything ready in the first place? So you have to think ahead, plan out, pre-plan, and then let go of it for a little bit, but know you have everything. And then you have to be flexible. So this is what we're going to practice with. And Manda's going to be somebody who simply is sitting, doesn't have a real strong agenda, but I need to be thoughtful, even though she's not externally agenda driven. I can't make an assumption that she doesn't have her own agenda. It just may not be really visible or auditorily apparent or motor apparent to me. And I've got to still do that assessment. If I miss my cues, that's what that PPA, PPC, and my positive action starter are going to allow me to do, is get ready so that we're matched up. So we're going to go over, I'm going to give you examples of the 5 ways to get started, and we're going to do it with each of the different gem states. So we'll start with sapphire, then we'll do diamond, then emerald, then amber, then ruby, then pearl. With the folks that we're demonstrating simply sitting there. That's all that's happening. They're present, but we don't know what's happening in them. What we can do is observe, and we use our dynamic assessment to make sure that we're on the right page, and then we're going to pick one of these 5 ways to kick it off. So Amanda's going to come and be present, and I'm going to approach. I'm going to get my connection. We're going to start with sapphire. And I'm going to go through them. 1, 2, 3. We'll do 1, then we'll talk, because we learned this on the first webinar. If I do too many, I lose everybody. So we'll do 1. Linda. Hey, how are you doing? Good. Listen. Ooh, I like those. Oh, very pretty. Yeah, I know. Similar, but different. Yeah. Yours are more colorful. Well, mine are. Yeah. I decided I'd try red. I've got lots of comments about always wearing turquoise. Yeah. You look good in those colors. Listen, have you got a few seconds? Yeah. I need some help with doing something down the hall, and it's something you tend to pay more attention to visual stuff than I do. Yeah. So I was thinking you might could help me out. Yeah, I could. 5 minutes? Yeah, no problem. Meet you at the end of the hall? Okay. Thanks. All right. So now, time to open up. Talk to me about what you notice, PPA, positive personal, and then my action starter. What did y'all notice? Let's start with you, Pam. Even though you're out on the West Coast, you look pretty alert. You're not unmuted somehow.
There we go. Well, I noticed you positive approached her, you said her name, you put your hand up to see what state she was in, if she could recognize you, and if you were welcome. And she responded perfectly. So you
quickly.
Yes, you did hand under hand. You put your hand over the top and sat down on her side, so you were at the same level as she is. And then
okay, so I'm going to pause you.
Yeah.
So when I did the connect.
Right.
Amanda, hey. Yeah. What happened there?
Well, she acknowledged that you were in her space.
Okay, so we did what?
You gave her the hand under hand, but you also put your hand on top of her.
Huh? Hey.
Oh, you just shook her hand.
So because Amanda, I'm suspecting, and what she showed me up to that moment was either going to be a diamond or a sapphire, one or the other. A normal handshake is all I need to do. She was already looking at me. I don't need to be highly specific. So for me, this is my typical, hey, it gives the person a visual, but it also causes, if they have something going on in their head, If I do this to you, like, let me just try it with you, Pam. Hey.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm
Now,
awesome.
yeah, you look awesome. As soon as I had my hand, and it was a fairly fast movement.
Right.
But what happened to your brain if it was even elsewhere?
You got her attention.
It got your attention, but in a real friendly way, not in a threatening way.
Right.
And so even with sapphires, our friends, people around us, sometimes we assume that people are going to be open to our request and open to the idea. So this might be another team member. This might be somebody that we're trying to help get new skills. This might be somebody who happens to be in the area, like a family member of another person that we're trying to help because they're struggling a little bit with what's going on. And we know they aren't identified as having dementia. So, and it doesn't look like they're particularly stressed out. So we could make an assumption, but what I try to make sure is I go, well, hey, so I know whether I'm welcomed with a pretty strong visual, but I'm not anywhere other than the boundary of public to personal space when I do it. Mm-hmm. And so it's a real, for me, it's a real quick assessment of how open and willing they are, how energized they are, how much they're going to be, how much their language sort of starts right away, how much they reach out toward me versus they're wanting to maintain their separateness. And so it tells me whether I need to keep the speed up or slow the speed down. And again, most people tend to think about GEMS in terms of dementia, but I always want to think about GEMS in terms of every human being I'm interacting with. Because if I want people to learn something new, I can't assume that they're open to the new until I figure out what they're thinking and feeling right then. So what we just did was an example of me letting you give me information and then me showing you again and you going, oh, well, you just did a normal handshake.
Yeah. Well, anymore, in my work, because I have to have so much trust involved, right. I don't do a handshake. It's either the hand under hand or I hug them or I stay totally away.
Okay. Yeah, because you're spending a lot of time with people who are more involved. So what happened for you is when I gave you a sapphire situation?
Yeah, I'm thinking what I try to do every day.
So it was really important for me to figure out, so Pam's already into dementia world and not really thinking about just interactions.
Well, when I teach the classes and I teach that move, everyone likes the feeling of the security and the trust.
Absolutely.
So I just don't move to the side. I greet them to the front and use the hand under hand and to tell them I want them to trust me and I trust you.
Yeah.
So I try to do it almost all the time.
Yeah, and I hear you. And so this is just this, when you go to a restaurant, this is the kind of thing, this would be, for instance, if I was training in a restaurant, an example of employees, they're not going to be real comfortable right off with people holding their hands like that. They're just not used to that. They're used to coming to the table and, hey, I'm your waitress. And cheery, cheery, cheery. And they've got this new training that the waitresses are getting that if you put your hand on somebody's shoulder, it makes them tip you better. There's this training that's going on in the restaurant world that says touch encourage tipping. And unfortunately, they don't do a good job about the kind of touch and when to touch and how to touch. And so let me just give you for instance of what's happening sometimes. So how's your steak? Woo. And so what they're getting out, that's bad enough if you have sapphires or who are in conversation with each other and eating their meal. Imagine if there was a diamond at the table what's the agenda the diamond has in that moment? Either eating their meal or socializing with the people right there. And so when that waitress does that, is that going to increase tip or decrease tip? And it's like, Well, what a stupid thing to train people to do, because that is where there's a difference between assessment versus assumption. And so with Manda, I really wanted her to get up and go help me do something. I really have something I want her to do. So to get to that place, I needed to really do an assessment of her status coming in, and then make that connection with her. So Rachel, I'll switch off. I'll give Pam a break. You did great, Pam. Nice work. Thank you for working with me on that. I mean, that was good, because we were able to process through and people were able to think through diamond versus sapphire versus in the moment of thinking about where you usually spend your time and what I was asking you to do. And so what we just once again demonstrated without a physical PPA is how I got you on my agenda. I'm sneaky like that. All right, Rachel, let's put you to work for a second here.
Okay.
So once I did, what was my positive positive personal connection with Amanda?
Sure.
The earrings. So we did a comparison on the earrings. And what's the rule about that always, always?
You're showing you first, and then you go to them.
Do I touch her? Not unless she seeks it. Like if she wants to lean and touch me, is that okay?
Yes.
Do I need to be real tuned in? At this point, do I need to know whether I have an amber, an emerald, a ruby, or a diamond next to me?
Yes. You don't want them yanking or just grabbing onto your ear.
Yeah. So by here, I better be pretty aware of the fine motor skills, which is where, back to Pam's idea of having hand under hand, will give me some protection, but it also cues me up, what are they able to do with their hands right away, and what are they interested in doing? Okay. Now, what was of the list of possibilities, and there were 5 of them. I can give you short information about the task. I could do the thing where I say, would you help me? Could we try? I could do the, would you rather do this or that? Or I could do the break it into small pieces. What did you notice I used with Amanda?
Basically, could you help me?
Could you help me?
This, I could use your help. Would you do me a favor?
Okay, now from that, what do you think I knew about Amanda personally that helped me in getting her engaged in this? What was something I knew about her that I shared that I knew about her?
You knew that she really does well with visual stuff.
Excellent.
You know what? You're really good at this.
Cool. And what was, did my face look serious? I mean, did I look like I really meant that?
Yeah.
And do I have to pick something that's true?
Yes.
Yeah, and once I do that with a sapphire, if I can give them a good reason to engage with me. Okay, what about her time awareness? What do you think I know about her time awareness?
That she's busy, because you said, give me 5 minutes.
Okay, and what else did I say about that 5 minutes? Is she going to come with me right now, or is she going to meet me there?
She's going to meet you there.
Oh, so I know something about place awareness and time awareness for this sapphire and her typical performance. What is it?
That she can meet you somewhere and do that task and not forget about it and get distracted.
Ding, 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 ding. Would I want to ask a sapphire who has a hard time keeping up with time or easily is drawn into other things to let go of the relationship I just started and meet me in 5 minutes down the hall? Or do I want to? So now that's, I mean, and it seems simple, but if we start with sapphires, it's so much easier when we are moving to diamonds and emeralds and ambers, because if we don't carefully assess our other partner, then what's going to end up is we're going to be frustrated, or we're going to overwhelm them in our effort to get them to the next step. Because with Manda, in this situation, apparently, I think at least, she'll meet me down there in 5 minutes. If it doesn't happen this time, then the next time I come in, I'm coming with some awareness. And so I probably wouldn't provide that alternative, because all I'll do is get frustrated that she doesn't show up where I want her, doing what she said she would. And then that starts affecting our relationship in the long haul. So this is where, if I historically have always been this way with you, sapphire to sapphire, and I start now to develop dementia, this gets sort of frustrating, because it was the case where historically you would meet me where we said, I'd say, you know, go ahead and take out the trash. You go, I'll do it in a couple minutes. What I'm going to do is finish getting my cup of coffee and then I'll do it. And I come back an hour later and the trash is not been touched. The coffee pot is dry. The coffee's still turned on. And I'm like, what is going on here? And so my level of frustration is really high. And then, of course, who reacts then?
The president.
Well, and
you.
Yeah.
You react?
So rather than being a sapphire, now I'm a diamond. And I come up, Manda, why did you leave the coffee pot empty and turned on? And you told me you were going to empty the trash can. Well, you never asked me. What do you mean I never asked you? Of course I did ask you. You were getting coffee. I mean, and so then we start the frustration because I missed my cues that things are changing. And so this is one of those things in our starters. It tells us on target, off target. And I wanted to emphasize here, because part of our responsibility as PAC folks and as people interested in helping is to really notice when our partner, who's also not dementia, but they're living with dementia in their lives, starts to flip from a sapphire to a diamond. And we're wanting them to do what they used to do. And in this moment, they can't think like that because they're just trying to keep their head around getting through a day. And I missed the signal that the person I'm working with and I thought was going to be able to handle what we were doing is not following through on it. I need to pause and realize difference in agenda here. And I need to pause a second or it's not going to go well. Okay. All right. So I'm going to have you guys mute and we're going to try the diamonds.
Now, in the next chapter, we're actually going to look at the diamond gem state. We're going to get a chance to talk about Teepa and her approach. And we're going to look at these 5 different things that we just talked about as she goes through them. And we're going to pick up on, okay, so for somebody in a diamond gem state, here are some things that we can do to support this person, to recognize these pieces, to help them with their agenda, and to be able to transition potentially into our agenda. Hey, it's Matthew. Welcome back to how we can recognize in different gem states where somebody is in a moment, and then be able to support them in that moment, get connected, and be able to transition into something that we're trying to do with them in that moment. So for this chapter, chapter 2, we're going to look at the diamond gem state. And we covered those 5 different things that we're going to look at when it comes to each one of these videos that we'll watch of what Teepa's doing with Amanda in that moment to recognize visual, to recognize verbal, recognize sensory motor and skill, pace, and then also Amanda's agenda versus her agenda in that moment and how she's able to try to make that transition.
Hey, Amanda. Uh-oh. Oh, him coming undone. Oh, crap. That's not good. Son of a gun. And now are these new?
Brand new.
Just
bought them.
Just bought them.
They make things so cheap now.
I'll tell you what. You know, there's one thing. You might want to be real careful. Here, flip it the other way. Do you mind?
No, go ahead.
No. The thing is, if you pull this thing the wrong way, I will tell you,
come all apart.
The whole thing will come apart. So if you were willing, what I can do is, I'm pretty good at this and the stitch won't show. If you want to switch out of these, we could get this dealt with right away.
Yeah.
And then you would be able to wear them again.
Yeah.
Is that
Okay.
good?
Yeah, you.
Okay, tell you what, come with me and let's go see if we can't find you another pair to put on.
Yeah, okay.
And then we'll get this dealt with.
Yeah.
Man, so sorry.
So, I mean, I
so
just thought of-
frustrating. So done. Hot. All right. All right, Claire. Your turn. What'd you notice?
I can tell you did the hand in her hand.
I did.
So
What's that about?
Why did you do that? Because you wanted her to get up and go somewhere.
What else?
That was the last thing. So the connection was at the very beginning, getting involved with what she was involved in.
Uh-huh. Where did my hand stay?
Where did your hand stay? In the activity.
Oh, let's watch again. I'll try to make sure. Can you see us okay? Okay. All right, here we go. Amanda, pull your chair up a little bit closer, maybe. I don't know if we can. Can you see us if we're here? Can you see our bodies here?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Okay, you were just watching.
Yeah, I stuck my head and my face over toward the activity, but where were my hands?
Your hands are, they're not even, you're trying to not even show them to her.
Right, because is she doing does she have an agenda right now?
Absolutely.
And her agenda is,
Fix her pants.
but what do I know she has really high potential for?
Destroying her pants.
Yeah. And so what was I using rather than, because let me be very clear, I'm having a really hard time not wanting to take my hands and put them, oh, don't do that. That'll, you're gonna cause it to all come apart. I really want to do that, but I know if I do that,
She may start wailing on you.
yeah, because she's already shown me she's more diamond-like. Because did she immediately cease and desist when I came in?
Yes. So it was connecting with her on her frustration with her pants, more just visual and somewhat verbal for you to her.
Exactly. Yeah. So we focused on visual and verbal because what didn't I want her doing?
Getting angry and
But
telling you to not touch it.
I didn't want her doing more there, did I?
Right. Destroying it.
Yeah, because if she keeps on, then we're going to have a bigger problem. Now, so what did I say?
That you can help fix it.
What I started with is, are they brand new?
Well, you asked 2 questions.
Mm-hmm. Which says I thought she could answer questions.
Yes, so you already had an assessment of where she was to answer simple questions.
Right. So what I'm trying to find out with are they brand new is do this with your hand.
Okay.
How angry is she about these pants? Are these old pants that the hem's coming out, or these are brand new pants and the hem's already coming out?
Okay, and she said they were brand new. So you
Bingo.
had a level of high anxiety. Well,
Yeah.
pretty high.
Yeah. So definitely more of a higher anxiety. And then what I was able to do, now sometimes they have that thing where if you pull one and she went, the whole thing comes out. Yeah. Ooh, so you know what? Now what did I do with that? You know what?
Okay, well, just pointing at her pant leg, you're starting to get closer to her.
Let me do it again.
Response.
Let me do it again. Watch me real carefully. Ooh, you know what?
Okay, well, I saw you snapped your fingers to get her attention towards you in the moment.
And when I get now think about her visual field being a tunnel.
Yes.
So go tunnel. Can she see my face and my finger at the same time?
I'm hoping yes.
Yeah. So what I did is I got her, now look at my finger in the pants. When I did that, what I was doing is switching agenda.
Okay. That's the moment.
That was the moment where I went, let go of your agenda and come with me. But what I did is I made it about her agenda.
It's about her. You want her out of the pants, but it's her agenda.
Exactly. And so we're going to get those fixed. But what I'm actually going to do is change her clothing, because she's been in them for 3 days since her daughter bought them and brought them in.
Yeah. Okay, so you connected, made it all about her, assessed where her energy level was, anxiety, and then brought yourself further into her visual field.
Exactly.
Along her agenda.
And then she started to go back to the pants. And I said, tell you what, let's go get you. And then again, now I've got her and we're up and we're moving. Full switch. So how's that feel? Okay, good. Other people, any questions or thoughts about that switch with diamonds? Because the thing that's really critical with diamonds that folks tend to underestimate is the importance of paying attention to their agenda and figuring out how to take it and let it be their agenda. Do this with your fingers, and this is a little tricky. It's their agenda, and you hang your hook, you hang your agenda off of their agenda. They are not going to let go of their agenda to do your agenda if they're a leader. They will only let go of their agenda to do your agenda if they're a follower. And most of our tough diamonds are the ones who like to lead. We're good with the follower diamonds. They don't give us any trouble because whatever we want to do, they're good with doing it. It's when we have leader diamonds and we're trying to get them to switch over to our agenda, we're not willing to hook our agenda on their agenda, start working on their agenda, but gradually shift it so it meets our agenda, but we're secondary. They're always primary. They've got to feel like they're the leaders of the pack there. You can't make them feel like they've been reduced to second in command. Does that make sense? And can you think of some situations where that's the issue and you just went, oh, got it? Anybody have anything they want to share out on that one?
Is there a time where you would just maybe stop and then go back and reapproach it again if they're giving too much resistance?
Oh, absolutely. So if I'm running into more trouble than I am getting success, I need to say, Amanda, thanks for talking with me. I've got a couple of things I need to do. I'll catch you later. Rather than, I appreciate you talking with me. The last step in any interaction is thank you for working with me. Thank you for giving it an effort. Thank you for letting me come in. Thank you for anything at all. I've got to find the thank you. Because if I don't appreciate the relationship, why would they let me back in? I'm sorry I bothered you. I'll check on you later. I appreciate you even spending a minute with me. Whatever it is, the appreciation has to end the interaction. Because without the appreciation, I leave them in an amygdala place where I'm associated with the negative outcome. And that means the next time back, they're automatically thinking, I don't like her. She doesn't do nice things. We don't have good outcomes. And I don't want anyone to leave an interaction with me feeling like, oh, crap, that was awful. So I've got to make sure no matter how it goes, doesn't matter how it goes, even if Amanda started pulling the thread out of her thing, Amanda, man, that's really frustrating. Tell you what, let me go see if I can't find something that'll hold it up a little bit. And I apologize. I mean, that's miserable. Thank you for telling me about it. I had no idea. I did have an idea. I already knew what was happening. She pulled the whole hem out, but there's no point in pointing that out. Okay. Anybody else have thoughts or comments on this one, on those diamonds? They're tricky.
When you switch the agenda, is it pretty much of a ooh, is that kind of that startle, not startle in a bad way, but kind of switching it up? Oh, wait, is that how you do that?
Yeah, because what I do is I use my face and my voice and sort of like I just got an idea. I actually had the idea like 15 minutes ago. What happens when I make it a quick switch, it allows our brain and both of our brains to like go, huh? And with the huh is a way of going, new idea coming in. Just like when you notice something out the edge of your vision and you turn and look and see what it is. Oh, it's something of interest. That's what that is. It's the idea that you take the brain and you go, new data. And so by clicking and looking and when I do, Rachel, what do you find yourself automatically wanting to do when I do that?
Like what?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's a trick that we can use to cause a person to pause in what they're doing and pay attention to what we're doing. All right, we're going to get to Emerald.
Okay, so now we're going to go over what, as Teepa is going through her approach, what are some of the things that she did to help support Amanda as a diamond gem state here with her agenda while keeping this relationship positive, and then started to make that transition to help her with her agenda so that maybe then they can move on to what Teepa's agenda might be.
Hey, Amanda.
So right there, visual, she said, hey, Amanda. And Amanda looked right up at her. So she's got that visual, and she's at least 6 feet out from Amanda.
Uh-oh. Oh, him coming undone. Oh.
Yeah, so what happened there? So Teepa didn't offer her handout, but what gave Teepa that indication that it was okay to come into at least somewhat close enough to touch Amanda? So yeah, Amanda started showing her pants to Teepa. Like, yeah, look at this thing. So that gave Teepa that ability to connect with Amanda in that moment and get that, okay, so it's okay if I come in. But what did you notice Teepa did with the chair? Did she scoot it up as close as she could to Amanda, or did she kind of scoot it back and still stay out a little bit? Yeah, she kind of scooted that chair back, and she's still keeping kind of a distance away from Amanda. She's not totally leaning into or towards Amanda. She's leaning forward a little bit, but she's still keeping some distance there, still giving that respect to, okay, yeah, you made it okay for me to come in closer, but I'm still not sure if it's all right for us to touch.
Oh, crap. That's not good. Son of a gun. Now, are these new? Brand new. Just bought them. Just bought them. They make things so cheap now.
I'll tell you what.
Ooh. So what did you just notice there? So Teepa's noticing that she's doing this, but does she go right for the pants and try to stop Amanda? No, she's still giving that respect. She's still keeping some of her distance, and she's pointing and drawing attention to it. Again, noticing where her visual field is, where her attention is. And she used that, ooh. Tell you what, recognize in a moment when somebody's doing something and maybe we're wanting them to pause, the difference between us just going in and trying to stop that person in that moment versus doing a, ooh, tell you what that could do in that moment to help pause that person and to now refocus on what it is you're talking about. And her pace. She's not giving a whole bunch of information here. She's giving some good reflect as she goes through and giving Amanda time to share out about her frustration with this. So, Amanda's agenda, her pants. needs to do something about this. This really has her focus. So let's see how Teepa supports Amanda now to go meet this need, and then potentially set herself up to be able to transition to now her need or her agenda in that moment of what might she want to do with Amanda, or why she was approaching Amanda in the first place. So here we go.
You know, there's one thing, you might want to be real careful. Here, flip it the other way. You mind?
No, go ahead.
No. The thing is, if you pull this thing the wrong way, I will tell you,
come all apart.
the whole thing will come apart. So if you were willing, what I can do is, I'm pretty good at this and the stitch won't show. If you want to switch out of these, we could get this dealt with right away.
Yeah.
And then you would be able to wear them again.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay, tell you what.
So Teepa, again, being very respectful, not just diving right in there and trying to stop Amanda from what she's doing and trying to make this about, hey, look, I know what I'm doing here and what you're doing is wrong. She asks, even before she touches, do you mind? She gets permission from Amanda before she even touches her pants. And then once she's able to show Amanda, so getting that visual again, and show Amanda, ooh, so yeah, what are you noticing here that's happening? Yeah, ooh, one thing, if you keep doing this, then it may, and then Amanda filled in the blank. Yeah, it may come undone. Amanda came to that realization, oh shoot, yeah, this could totally get worse than it already is in this moment. And then Teepa offers some support. And she doesn't do it as a, tell you what, let me go take these pants and I'll go fix them and I'll get them back to you. She says, you know what, I'm pretty good and I can do it to where it can be so it doesn't show. But if you'd like, we could switch out of these pants, get you a different pair, and I can get these fixed so they're back to the way they were before. So she gave Amanda that choice in that moment. Again, recognizing that Amanda is in this diamond gem state and supporting her with her agenda, with where she's at in that moment, meeting that need. So when they go and they switch out her pants, and then Teepa gets a chance to fix them, in the meantime, before Teepa gets to her pants to fix them, could they potentially now transition on to what Teepa needed to do with Amanda in that moment? Yeah, that could very well meet that need. So in the next chapter, chapter 3, we're going to get a chance to look at someone in that emerald gem state. And we're going to watch Teepa as she approaches and helps Amanda in that emerald gem state. Hey everybody, it's Matthew. For this chapter, chapter 3, we're going to watch Teepa approaching Amanda, who is now in the emerald gem state. And again, we're going to use those 5 different areas. So the visual, the verbal, the sensory motor or skill use, the pace, and then the recognition of where Amanda's agenda is versus where Teepa's agenda is in that moment, as we go through this video on how Teepa was able to support Amanda, meet her needs with where she's at in that particular gem state, and be able to transition on to something different.
Amanda. Oh. Ay. Bills, eh? Always. Wow. Bills. Interesting pocketbook that you got there, huh? Lots of fringe. This is cool. You've got quite a few things. Ooh, yeah, receipts, all kinds of things. Ooh. Now this is one. Oh, well, son of a gun. This one says Manda right here.
So is that the right thing?
Oh, I don't know. Tell you what, switch out here. Let me take a peek here. Can I? Here, let me see what it, now let's look here.
Well,
You've got, let me see what you got.
That's the one.
There you go. Bulgarelli.
That's the one.
Son of a gun.
The one I've been looking
That's
for.
exactly the one you were looking for. Well, I'm really glad we found that. Perfect. Boy, that's a good color too.
Oh, yeah. This thing, yeah.
That thing, well, I'll tell you what, it looks good with your outfit.
Oh.
And you found your paper.
Yeah, this is the one.
All right, now shall we go see what we need to do with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I've been looking for the.
You were looking for the thing there?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Now, does that go somewhere or do you just keep it in here? Do we need to go put it in the thing in your room?
I'm supposed to give it to
You're going to give it to somebody.
give it to somebody.
Oh, you know what? At the front?
Yeah.
Oh,
At
okay.
the front.
Okay, well, tell you what. You want to get your pocketbook?
Yeah.
Put it on your
I
shoulder?
do.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Cross. Here. Do you like to like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you like it here?
I like. Yeah.
Perfect. Beautiful. Come on. I think I know the lady you need to talk to.
Okay.
Let's go this way. Okay, so everybody have thinking caps on. Corey, your job is to call somebody out. I don't know who it'll be.
I feel like it'll be on The Price is Right. How about Jen?
Hey, Jen. Jen's going, don't call me, don't call me.
You'll have to unmute yourself.
Oh, I don't know if Jen has a microphone. Oh, see, Corey, the very first one you picked.
She said it won't work. Okay.
No, oh, that's not poor planning. It's a machine that doesn't have capacity. I don't think that's your fault, Jen. We didn't realize you didn't have those abilities. Now we know your abilities are limited, sort of like Emerald's. And so we should have really rethought how we were going to communicate with you. Words are probably way complicated to put in the computer right now. So we'll put you on hold. Another time it'll be your turn, however. So do we have somebody who has voice communication?
Maybe not.
Well, you're batting 1,000, Corey. I don't know whether or not this is going to work out for you. How about Callie? How about Callie? Does Kelly talk? We know Tracy can talk. Even though she's labeled as Kelly Creviston, she's not. That happens to be Tracy. Oh.
I'm in today. So yes, I can talk, Teepa.
Oh, good. So what did you notice about my assessment of Amanda?
Well, I noticed when you approached her, she was busy, and I'm going to guess she was in somebody else's pocketbook, and you knew that, right?
Good observation. Yes.
Yeah, and I like the way that you didn't just go over there and take it out of her hands and say, oh, no, that's not yours, get out of there. Instead, you very nicely got hers and then slowly hid the other one out of her view.
Okay, so let's look at when I went in. What were some of the comments I made that showed you and let you know that I was really assessing her abilities and paying attention to her agenda?
You, you guys have feedback on this? I've got really bad feedback on my end.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. I noticed that you got interested in what she was doing, what she was looking for.
And so was I trying to, what did I focus on first? Because she had it in her hand at the time. So she had the pocketbook in her non-dominant and something in her dominant hand.
You focused on what she was looking for and offering to help her.
So she was looking at, where were they? She was looking at envelopes and things. And I think I said something about bills. Oh,
Yeah,
bills. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so she's going through items and she's pulling them out and looking at them. And so I tried along that line. Was I really getting much of a connection though?
No.
Yeah. So
she was too focused on whatever it was she was looking for.
So of the 3, 1, visual, verbal, or physical touch, what was Amanda really, what was she into?
She was into the physical touch, finding
And-
that
And
the visual,
what was she looking at?
the bills.
What she was touching, right?
She was touching, right.
Was she connecting to the verbal at all?
No.
This was just like dead space for her.
Mhm.
So she was doing this, and if she was mumbling or saying something to herself, it really wasn't her primary. She was all about visual, physical, visual, physical.
Right.
So that was the point at which I realized that's not going to work. So I went and picked up her pocketbook, or a free pocketbook, or a pocketbook that was available. It doesn't really matter whether, if she doesn't know, because obviously she doesn't, she's in somebody else's pocketbook.
Right.
But at that moment, I went and got my own visual, physical stuff and sat next to her with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we started our conversation. That's when she started to verbally connect. I held up a thing, she held up a thing.
Right.
And then I said, oh, this is it. And then I got her to not be as interested in hers. How did I get the exchange to happen? Did you notice the little tap dance around that?
I know when you brought the pocketbook, you said, oh, look, there's your name inside of it. And then you commented on the color. So you got her focused totally on what you had.
So I broke it down. I broke the task down into a very, very small step. So the big task was beyond her. Exchanging pocketbooks, letting go of that woman's pocketbook, taking her own pocketbook, way too big, way too big. So I had to start with the whatever thing was in her hand, the thing that was in my hand, and then I was able to say, I think this is the one you're looking for. Is it this or this? And then that's when she took the piece of paper from me, from my pocketbook. Now, once she took the piece of paper from the pocketbook, that was when she started to be more engaged with the piece of paper and was less. And how do I know that? What happened to the stuff that she had in her dominant hand?
She dropped it.
She moved it to her non-dominant. And then she was trying to figure out what to do. And I said, do you want to put it back in your pocketbook? Now I handed her the green pocketbook, and she had the thing in her dominant hand. And then I said, do you want me to hold the other one for you? But what I preset her up to be successful with is she was already engaged with the new items. And all I'm going to do is hold this for you and get it out of the way while you're working with the two hands on the new item, putting the thing in the thing that you have. And then once she was engaged there, what kind of vision does she have?
Binocular? Just binocular?
Binocular. So what I did is just drop it down to the side behind my seat so that I could re-engage with her, because now I need to move to the next step, which is to get her up and get her out of here before she starts getting back into something that isn't hers again.
Right.
And what about our language interaction?
It was very simple. You didn't use big words.
Did I use anything specific?
No, you did not. I noticed that right away. You didn't.
Yeah, the one out front, the one that does it. Yeah. Tell you what, let's go look and see if we can't. So what's, yeah. So I gave her a next step, single step, and let's go see if that's the one you're looking for. So of the 5 starters, is that a will you help me, or let's try, or would you rather do this or that, or breaking it down into a little step? Which one does that sound more? Tell you what, let's come with me and we can see if she's the one you're looking for.
Little steps.
It's a little step, but it's also help or a try.
Help or try. You're killing me here, Teepa. You're just killing me. Sorry, everybody. I'm totally brand new at this.
You're doing fine.
I'm throwing my disclaimer out there right now.
Hey, there you go. So if I say to you, hey, Tracy, how about if we see, if we can figure out which of these it is?
That's
Is
a
it
try.
more? Check. There you go. So when I say, how about if we see if we can figure something out? Does that sound safer than, Tracy, which one of these things do you want?
Yeah.
Because it takes it back, it dials it back. When I don't have, you're not able to give me very many words. So I think I might know where we're headed, but I'm not sure I've got enough data that's going to get us where you may want to go. I tend toward try. How about let's go look and see, because I know she's more visual. I know getting her out of here is a good idea. I know getting her connected. So when I held the purse up, what did I do? Do you like it here? Because I thought she might put it over.
I noticed the way that you switched the agenda so quickly too, because when you went to put it over her head, she put her hand up immediately and you just switched right back to where it
Yeah,
was.
okay, you like it right there. Yeah, that's great. I mean, this is pretty obviously across the chest, but
Right.
not for her right now. And it's like, okay, don't mess with it. Let's just get going. Now, what did you notice I did at the end to make sure she stayed with me?
Hand under hand.
Yep, yep. Notice how with this whole thing, I didn't get to hand under hand, and there's been 2 of them now where I didn't get to hand under hand till the very end because they already had an agenda that involved their hand. And until they're willing to allow that agenda to be switched, you can't force the hand under hand as part of PPA. It becomes the initiation of the next task. But you can't do that until you get there.
Okay.
Is that?
That makes sense.
Any questions on this one? Anybody have like examples or thoughts of things they want to process through on this one? Because emeralds are the ones often people struggle with switching agendas with. And it's often because we try to get our agenda in front of them way too fast without really appreciating their agenda and how to do it, because this is where the language is starting to fall apart. This is where the visual field is either social or task, but not both. This is where the motor skills, it's a single step, and then I can sort of not remember what the next thing is I'm supposed to do. And if you try to switch me too abruptly, or if you're trying to make me get something that I can't get, my tolerance of that would be very low. And if you're trying to be nice, like how does it taste when I'm eating, then I stop eating to answer your question, and then I don't remember to go back to eating. And you're like, take another bite. And I go, huh? You go, eat. Oh, eat what? And it just feels like, because switching back and forth from social to task and task to social is actually a lot more complicated for an emerald than it is for us. We're automatic, and they can be. It's just not the way their brain works anymore. It's total different, visual, physical, social. I mean, the whole thing is having to be switched, and we make it way more difficult than it needs to be by not doing task initiators that match them. All right, so now we're going to go to Amber's, and Benji may or may not participate in the Amber moments. He gets that way. We'll see what he does.
So what are you picking up on now on how Teepa was able to start to help Amanda make that transition from now that she's gotten what she's looking for or has been looking for, and she's picking up on something that she needs to do with it? How did Teepa support Amanda through figuring that out and then make that transition from sitting there to now heading in a direction that, again, could be the way that Teepa was hoping to get her to go, or to at least go take care of that particular piece so that they can move into whatever that next part would be, in why Teepa was connecting. Yeah, so she was sitting there and she was giving her some choices, and she was oh, is it this or something else? Instead of, oh, was it Marge in accounting? Was it Patty the office clerk? Was it Roger the administrator? Was it? She didn't start just naming a bunch of stuff off. She would say one thing and then something else to keep that thought process rolling, but leaving it open to where Amanda could say, no, it's not. It was the other thing, but at least giving Amanda that opportunity to, in that moment, figure out, okay, now what is she supposed to do with this piece of paper, and support her with that without making it harder by naming a bunch of other stuff off. And then once they figured it out, cha-ching, she helped Amanda start to initiate and sequence through, now where do we go? And how do we go? And what do we do? So Teepa was able to support Amanda in that emerald gem state so that she could meet her agenda and get connected by doing so and make that transition. So now they can move on to something different. And she was able to do that substitution versus subtraction piece too, picking up on that Amanda had somebody else's purse and was going through somebody else's stuff. Lots of great skill here with this emerald gem state. So for our next chapter, chapter 4, we're going to look at that amber gem state and how Teepa supports Amanda in that amber gem state. Again, meeting her where she's at, being able to recognize what her agenda is, and then help her to make that transition. See you in the next chapter. Hey everybody, it's Matthew, and welcome back to chapter 4 of how we can help recognize where somebody's at in a moment in that gem state and be able to connect with them so that we can then help them to transition into doing something in that moment.
All right, so Amanda's going to be Amber. Let's make sure we got us in our field. Let me switch up here so I can see. Oops, that was a bad idea. Put that back up over here. There we go. Let me go back up here. There we go. Let's see how we look. Are we okay? I think so. All right, so here we go. Amanda! Hey! Hey! Oh my heavens! Look at that! Ooh, yummy, 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 huh? Yeah, wow, that is something. No. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Hey, Amanda. Look at that one. That's a cool one, eh? Yeah. Is that a good one? Let's see what you think about that one. There you go. Here. You want to hold it? Hold on to it. There you go. Here, let me get that for you. There you go. Cool. Yeah. That one's a good one. Oh, yeah. That's good. Yeah. Perfect. You're liking that one, hey? Yeah. That's pretty good. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now this. Let's feel that. Oh, wow, eh? Ooh, here, you want me to hold this? Here you go. Here, try this. Here, rub that. There you go. Wow, that's good, huh? Yeah. Come on, let's go. Ooh. Yeah. All right. So let's process this amber. Somehow our amber got in somebody's area where we keep all their supplies. And did you? Oh, no, it's above. Oh, well. So talk to me about what you noticed. Let's see. Corey, we got anybody left that we can harass? Otherwise known as work with?
We can certainly try.
We might have to go back to our pool of folks that started us off.
Joanne, would you like to go through this for Teepa?
Or you, now, wait a minute. Did you ask it the way that we wanted to ask a positive action starter?
Probably not. I've lost my words about half of the sentence.
So you might try, Joanne, can you help me out? Teepa's looking for somebody to partner with.
She's not responding. Either way.
All right. Well, she's either silent by choice or because she can't actually do the audio.
Correct.
Okay.
What about Kelly Kravis?
What about Kelly, the real Kelly? That's Tracy.
I thought the real Kelly was on here too.
No, I think the real Kelly had to jump on a call.
Oh, she's working? The fake Kelly did her part. That was all cool.
I'm good.
You're good. Rachel, how about you help us out again, if you don't mind?
Sure, okay.
So what did you notice that Amanda's agenda was coming into this?
It was sensory mouth. You know, I
Okay.
think she liked chewing on the spout, is what I think.
So she was trying to chew on the spout, and what was she, so the two sensory areas, high sensory areas that she was very actively engaged with, mouth and hands. And what do we know about her abilities?
Not so much.
Not so much. What kind of verbal was she giving us?
A lot of sounds.
Now, did it seem to be pleasurable or distress, if you had to rate it as more pleasurable? So it seemed like she was having a good time with what she was doing. So if she was having a good time with what she was doing, if I'm going to introduce something different, she's going to have a good time with it, or she's not going to want to do it. Right. And so gem state wise, she's very consistent with an amber ruby, because we don't know for sure yet, do we? She hasn't given me enough yet to know whether she has any dexterity in her fingers, whether or not she has skill set in her mouth beyond where she's using it. We do know she has trouble with object recognition. So we know that she's not an emerald. We know that we're in the amber ruby state. She's a little too active to be pearl by any stretch. So that's, you know, the mobility and the skill set is too high for pearl. So we're somewhere in the amber ruby range. Now, what we don't know is if she's an amber who's a little in the distressed mode because she's not getting out of this what she thought she would. And it seems to be she's liking doing this, but she may not be getting the outcome she's looking for. And the may be pleasure, or it may be a sense of this isn't working like I want. And her hands and her mouth are involved. So that was where I came in, and I'm sort of observing, and I tried to see if she would go with a social connection. What happened there?
Basically, kind of.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that was a bust. So I thought, well, maybe I can get her to want me. So I was about at the same energy level she was. And I was in that same thing, but she wasn't really wanting that. I didn't get anywhere with that one. So what did I do then? Did I go, oh, geez, she's getting in the lotion. I've got to do something. Is that what I did?
Not so track.
Yeah. So I looked around to see what was out there that I could use that would be high sensory here and fairly high sensory there. And I found her coffee mug, or a coffee mug that it appeared she had been drinking from. What did I do that made sure that I didn't lose total? Did I just turn it over to her? Why is that really, really important in an amber who is doing something that is sort of not what I would call a normal use of a lotion bottle? And now I'm going to introduce a new object and try to get her to engage with the new object in a way that's consistent with use of the new object as I would like to see her use it.
Yeah, because you don't know what to do with it.
I don't. And I also don't even know if she'll be able to hold it well enough because I'm not exactly sure whether she's an amber or a ruby. And I don't know whether she'll take this and be okay with it or not, or she drops it, or she shoves it back. I don't know what's going to happen to it because I have to get her disengaged from the stuff she's got in order to engage with this. So what I did was I brought it in, and I did it in such a way, he had this one in this hand and this one in this hand. And what I did is I brought it in here. Did I bother showing her on me? Because does she care about me at all?
No.
Other than as a thing that's bringing something into the field that might interest her. I'm not even here yet. I mean, I tried, but anything I did here, the only thing I got was a pull it away. Yeah. So I went and got my own thing and brought it in, and then I brought it, and as she took it, I stabilized it. That's when, can you see the alignment of my mouth and my hands and her mouth and her hand?
It's pretty much in front of her.
Pretty much in a straight alignment. So then I tip it a little bit toward her, but whose hand is doing what her hand has done for years?
Hers.
And so as she, and I go, and as she does the first sip, and then I start to see a second sip. There you go. Here, I'll hold it for you. Here you go. Put your hand. Yeah, there you go. Hold on. Hold on. You got it? Good, good, good. Now, only now can I start thinking about my agenda. So,
Doing and where she's
and I had to just get her to a place where what she was doing was safer. So what had happened in reality is I had gotten her this far in the morning. We had already done breakfast, we were getting dressed, and what I had done is put the lotion off to the side there because what I want to do is go get a pair of socks, which I forgot. And by the time I got back, and it was, all I did was step to the drawer and turn around, it was like, oh no, she got the bottle of lotion and the hand sanitizer that I had sitting off to the side. I didn't think she'd see it. It wasn't right in front of her. I don't know how, I mean, your brain goes, oh my God, how did she do that? I mean, I had just turned my back. It was not but just a second. And that's the challenge with ambers, is they are so quick when they get interested in something that your brain just goes, ah, ah. But did you get any sense that I was panicking?
No.
Was there a moment where I really wanted that lotion container out of her hand? Did I have to let go of my agenda real quickly?
Yeah.
And so what I did is, even though that coffee was a little cold, and it was actually from the breakfast tray that we did first, I had to take the breakfast tray back enough to get her to another sensory activity that was around her mouth that I could put her to work with. And now I can get back to my agenda, which was to put lotion on her hands and her feet before we finish putting her socks on. Now I actually want to put lotion on her feet, but what do I have to start with?
Her hands.
The hands. And so we did the hands, and after we did the hands, then I got her up because I want her to start paying attention to her feet. So I'm going to move her around a little bit and then have her sit back down and then pick her foot up, and we'll try doing lotion on her feet because her feet are hypersensitive as well. And I can't just switch from hands and mouth to feet and assume that she's going to be fine with all that. So good job. Okay, cool. How's it feeling? So yeah, go ahead.
My problem is peeing.
Yeah.
You know, he'll try and pee on everything, and the dog, the porch, whatever. So you know, when I see him in the act of that, I can usually drive him to the toilet, but he doesn't know what to do. He'll
Right.
put in the water, his hands in the water, and you know, I get frustrated. I don't know. How do I catch a bottle and squirt a bunch of water while I'm standing there?
Yeah, one of the things I would say is what you may want to think about doing is getting an empty detergent container, like a dishwasher detergent that has a little squirt top.
Yeah.
And what you may want to do is stand beside him and squirt with the squirt and show him what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then do the hand under hand with the squirt bottle and then actually just rehearse doing that. And I would also say what you might actually want to do is not do it into a toilet, but actually get a trash can, a small trash can, get bright colored liners and get kitty litter.
Oh.
And actually have him pee sitting on the front edge of something, pee into a trash can with kitty litter in it. Because the kitty litter does two things. It absorbs the odor and the moisture. And if you make a target on it, it sometimes can help them shoot for the target. The water in the toilet attracts attention, and they're just as likely to put a body part in because they don't understand the difference between a shower, a toilet, a sink. And so when else have we asked them to do? Well, we ask them to get in the tub, to step in, to get in. And so their brain is, okay, so I'm supposed to step in this? I'm supposed to. And so what we see often is by Amber State, people pee in shower stalls, they pee in sinks, they pee in things. They're trying to pee in something, but they're not sure what that something is. So if we create a target that's right there and we actually have them sit, and what I'm doing here is I'm sitting like right here. And so the target is right there. Just like small children when they're learning to throw balls, they throw down and right there, because if you put it further out, you don't know what's going to happen. So looking at that may help, because the problem with anything you put in the toilet bowl, there's water in there and it's just an attraction and it's another variable and it's moving and it's got, they're going to be tempted to do things that you don't like.
Okay, so garbage can, kitty litter, with the colored liner.
Yep.
And then initially,
you can either sit or stand, but the idea is you want to squirt something in there and then put him there and see if you can get him to squirt in there.
Okay. I'll try it.
Yeah. And just wherever he is, rather than trying to change where he is, bring the trash can to there.
Okay.
So we're not doing a gross motor transition. We're just doing a small task transition.
Okay.
Because if we switch too many things, he has to restart the engine and it's all gone. He doesn't, so all we're doing is switching. Here's the trash can. And what's nice about little trash cans is they can be fairly mobile.
Yeah.
And it reduces our distress at trying to move a position and that somebody's already in to deal with the thing that we really want, which is the urine going in the right place.
Right. Yeah.
To just simplify.
Okay. Sounds a good idea to me. We'll try it.
Good shot. All right. So the last couple we're going to do Ruby. Oh, one more thing, Rachel, before I let you off the hook here. What was my positive action starters? Because I did it several times. What positive action starter did I use?
Try this. See what you think.
Try this, but did I do it with words?
It was kind of a gesture, sort of.
It was an object and a movement. So when we get to Amber, we don't need to be using very many words. It's our actions that do the try this. And so I gave a visual of the lotion and laid my hand out there, which was try this, and broke it down into a baby step. And I showed her the step that I wanted her to do. And then when it came to the mug, try this, and showed. So it's a try this with a single step. We already know we're at single step. There's no doubt about it. Not going to go bigger. But we have to think through our agenda and realize, okay, how many steps are there going to be between where she is and where I want her to end up? Woo, hard work. All right. So here's Amanda now being a Ruby.
Take a few moments to write down what you noticed this time, if it was something different when it comes to that visual, verbal, the sensory motor skill, pace of Teepa matching with Amanda or Amanda's pace, and then that what Amanda's agenda was versus how Teepa was able to make that transition from Amanda's agenda towards her agenda. Back before that, what might be that initial response if you were to walk into a room and you were to see somebody who was living with brain change sticking the nozzle of a bottle of lotion in their mouth? For me, it would have been, ooh, an immediate, let me take that away. I would have treated it like it was something that was risky or maybe even dangerous. And so we got to notice that Teepa, boy, she kicked in that prefrontal cortex. She pulled back and she did this, wow, Amanda. So try that. Wow, Amanda. Notice what that could do in a moment to get somebody's attention, especially someone who's in this amber gem state, how they pause to look at you now that you've done this big, wow, Amanda. So let's watch how Teepa now starts to connect with Amanda, and we'll go back to that skill we saw Teepa use before with the purses or the pocketbooks, whichever way you call it, in this substitution versus subtraction. Because Teepa starts to do something, picks up that's not what Amanda is liking, and then she makes a switch. She makes an adjustment in the moment to see if she can help Amanda get what she needs, but also start to substitute that lotion for something else.
Ooh, yummy, huh? Yeah. Wow, that is something. No. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Hey, Amanda. Look at that one. That's a cool one, eh? Yeah. Is that a good one? Let's see what you think about that one.
So we'll pause right there because, ooh, wow. We just saw Teepa use that super skill of substitution versus subtraction. She initially tried to get that one bottle from Amanda's hand, and what did Amanda do? Nope. She said nope. She was not going to let Teepa take that bottle. So what did Teepa do? You got it. She found something that Amanda might be interested in, and that's actually Amanda's teacup that she really likes. She likes this unicorn teacup or coffee cup. And she starts to use that as that substitution piece. Now, what did you notice Teepa did with the cup? How did she position it and bring attention to it so that Amanda would start to focus on the cup so that Teepa could use it in that moment to do this substitution? Got it. She lifted it up to where Amanda's visual field is. Recognizing for somebody who is in that amber gem state, we're in that binocular field of vision. Now, We're going to watch another super skilled piece. So as Teepa has supported her with this and gets her into this new sensory piece that she's enjoying, let's watch how Teepa then starts to move those bottles of lotion out of the picture.
Mm. Mm. There you go. Here. You want to hold it? Hold on to it. There you go. Here, let me get.
So what does Teepa do? She starts to grab onto the bottle. She notices, ooh, yeah, Amanda's grip's still pretty tight here. So if she just tries to pull that bottle straight from there, what's probably going to happen? What would happen for you if you're holding on to something you really want and I came over and I started to grab it from underneath and pull it out? I'm going to squeeze in tighter. So she starts to get Amanda in that moment to make the transition with that other hand that's holding onto the bottle to help hold the teacup. So we'll see what Teepa does now with these bottles of lotion and how then she even kind of uses the bottles of lotion as the next piece of transition, because she knows that teacup doesn't have a lot of tea left. And once it's out, what now? So let's see what Teepa does from here.
That for you. There you go. Oh, yeah. That one's a good one. Oh, yeah. That's good. Yeah. Perfect. You're liking that one, hey? Yeah. That's pretty good. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now this. Let's smell.
Ooh, so what did Teepa just do there? She put her hand down on Amanda's knee and started to do some firm pressure, which brought Amanda's visual regard and even brought some touch, because now Amanda's starting to reach in that direction, and allowed Teepa to then connect and get in a hand under hand with her. So she was able to bring it up and now use this sensory piece, this sensation, which could be very enjoyable for some folks. And especially Teepa, knowing for Amanda, it's something she really likes. She starts to rub it in on Amanda's hand. So let's watch how she continues to use this piece to make that next transition away from that teacup and now into them being connected with their hands to the next piece that Teepa does to get Amanda up and going.
Oh, wow, eh? Here, you want me to hold this? Here you go. Here, try this. Here, rub that. There you go.
There Teepa goes again with noticing, ooh, she doesn't quite want to give me the teacup yet. So what do? I try to help get that other hand included in this new sensation that's pleasing, that is got Amanda's attention. So she gets her to start to use that other hand in what they're doing so that she can now, again, she's substituting this new thing instead of just here, just give me that teacup, Amanda, and do this. Teepa in this moment was able to, again, make multiple transitions from the Amanda trying to drink or get something out of those lotion bottles to Amanda getting a drink of something and something she enjoys in that moment, to being in that moment of sensation with her hands and rubbing, smell, and how that feels, and then onto the now getting up and going somewhere. Lots of skill here, especially with somebody in this amber gem state. Noticing how much skill it really takes to really connect with somebody in that amber gem state, especially that initial piece of, whoa, using that prefrontal cortex to pull back so that we don't just go in and start taking things away, and then what that does to our relationship right off the bat. In the next chapter, so chapter 5, we're going to watch Amanda, who will be in the ruby gem state, And we'll watch Teepa interacting with Amanda. And again, using these different things as she's supporting Amanda to be able to make a transition. Hey, everybody, it's Matthew. So, chapter 5, we're looking at the ruby gem state. And again, this whole idea of how can we recognize where somebody's at in a moment in that particular gem state, connect with them, and then be able to make those transitions from where their agenda is to something that we may be wanting to try to do with them at that point. And so we're going to get to see Teepa approaching Amanda. Amanda's going to be in that ruby gem state. And we're going to look at those pieces that Teepa's using. So those different skills of recognizing where Amanda's visual field is, her verbal skills, her sensory, motor, or skill use, the pace at what she is at and how Teepa matches her pace, and then how Teepa recognizes her agenda and then starts to meet that agenda while then making a transition on to what Teepa's agenda may be. So again, recognizing the person's agenda first and meeting that agenda first before we ever move towards ours. Because if we can't do that, how are we going to create a strong relationship with that person in that moment, especially when brain change is involved? And so as a quick recap of where somebody's visual field would be in this ruby gem state, this is where we're starting to notice that transition to monocular vision.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got it. You got it. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You got that one. Here you go. You got these? Here. Let's get that. Got it? Oh, man. Man. You got that. Oh, wow. Look at that. Whoa. Oh. Whoa. That is something. There you go. Wow, that's a good one, eh? Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's, oh, hey, Amanda. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. 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 Here we go. Here we go. Here you go. Oh, yeah. Here we go. 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 Here. Whew. All right, that was close. Phew. All right. All right, Corey, this one's your turn.
Okay.
This is life with a ruby. Your brain is like, hi, yay, what are we doing now? Oh, wow, okay, hi, whoa, wait, geez, man. Okay, so go ahead. So interaction-wise, getting started. Talk to me about even my PPA with her. Was it traditional at all?
No, not at all, because she was already involved in a task. I mean, she had her tissue, so there was maybe some sensory. She was doing cleaning.
Yeah. So what's there a high? Why was that an issue? Why didn't I just let her continue to do that?
I mean, I don't know how long she had been doing it, so maybe.
Listen again and see if you can hear what she's doing with her fingertips as she goes down those blinds. Is she starting to catch the fingertips on those blinds?
Yes.
Yeah, what's the risk?
driving everybody else in the room crazy.
Well, what if she catches them a little bit more with her fingertips?
They'll break.
Or she rips them down, or she hurts herself, or she gets distressed because she gets her hands caught in the blind. So she's doing it with a Kleenex, and she's trying to run her hands down, and I'm hearing this, and it's like, uh-oh. I don't know that this is something that she continuing to do is going to be a thing that results in a good outcome.
Right.
It's not a crisis, it's not an emergency, but given what she's doing, I've got a sense this is something that is high risk for a variety of reasons. So what did I do approach-wise?
You've got in her visual field, or at least with your hand, not so much with your body.
I sort of put myself where she'd run across me. Yeah, and I made some sort of comment about her task that she was engaged in. And then she went to the chair. Now, when she started working on the chair, what went through your mind when you saw her starting? Here's the chair. She has this in her hand here, and she's starting to go here.
Well, I could fall. I mean, that's
yeah. Given her leaning forward and her focus on the task, and she's starting to try to do the legs of the chair. This is that point when you go, this has a momentary switch on it where she has balance like to the front of her foot already. And if she leans forward a little bit more because of the lack of depth perception, her risk of taking a header is like so high, it's not funny. But at the same time, the last thing I want to do is go, Manda, no, hang on, don't do that. Manda, which is probably of all the situations, this is the one I hear the most when people become frightened that the person that they're trying to help, who's a Ruby, is about to fall. They start that chanting of the name in a distress mode.
Right. I know you responded pretty quickly and came around the chair. You could stay on her dominant side and in her field, but also I imagine you could have.
I could have blocked at the shoulder and kept her from cracking her head open, which was really the most I could do at that moment. If I tried to do more than that, I actually increased the risk she'd flip backward, go on forward, resist me, and start striking out. The last thing I wanted to do was aggravate her, but at the same time, she is high risk, and I absolutely knew that. So while I was down there in front of her, what did you notice? Did you notice anything about my eyes and my head? Because I was doing it, but I'm not sure you would have noticed it.
I didn't notice anything. I mean, I saw you.
I was looking for anything else in my visual field that I could get her engaged with.
Well, I caught that a little later in the process. I mean, you could tell that you were looking around to get her on a safer task.
Yes, because my brain was going, this is going nowhere good. I don't have another option. The Kleenex, she'll either start eating them or I don't know what she's going to do next. None of it's healthy. I've got to find something that's okay for her to have. I've got to find a way to start moving her forward. My agenda coming into this was simply, we've got to get her engaged in a way that's not annoying everybody and is safer for her. That was my only agenda item. So unfortunately, because when I came in, it was mounting an escalation from my perspective, I didn't prepare myself. So what you saw was someone unprepared entering this situation and having to think on your feet. And it's always harder than having thought it out ahead of time and having a plan. So what I found was a pocketbook. What I presented was this side first, and then I flipped it.
Nice.
And I saw both sides, and I opted for this side first with the flip to this one because I thought that would make it both more desirable, both in color but also texture, and might engage her a little more. And it did. And that allowed me then to offer a second one. And what was the point of the second one?
Well, I have a question. With rubies, do they tend to like to take things, to have those things? It was almost like at that point when you handed her the second one, she was starting a collection.
Right. So I didn't know if it might go this, or if it was simply, ooh, more, which either would have been fine because her collecting these is safer than her going around doing things with the Kleenex and the window blinds.
Right.
So my goal was to get her somehow connected to stuff that's safer stuff for her to have. And so we started that interaction, and the task now, our task starter is this. She didn't give up the other one, she collected it. So I've got to be okay with her having both. But then that's when I could start getting her into a situation where she was now seated and had them, because she had plenty to work with now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it got a little dicey
But you also started singing,
again.
some rhythm in your movement to,
Yep.
I think it was a little more soothing, but it also gave you the rocking motion to get her turned around so that she could sit.
So she didn't sit on the floor because she saw all the chairs. She saw at least a couple chairs and she was tired. And so all of a sudden she's starting to sit and it was like, Manda. And so I had to even be careful. It wasn't Manda, don't sit. You don't have a chair under you.
Right.
And instead it was Manda. Yeah. And then I had to come up with the rhythm and then turn her gradually with little baby steps so that I could get her in the chair, and she had to feel really comfortable with it, but she wasn't able to see it because she was busy with all the stuff she had.
So we'll pause there. Take a few seconds to write down what you noticed here of what Teepa did with her positive physical approach, how she adjusted this to meet Amanda where she was at, recognize her agenda, and start to use that to make transitions into what Teepa's agenda was, which in this situation was to help Amanda find a place to sit. So let's watch as Teepa makes these adjustments for the visual field, and then also what Amanda's doing, how much skill she's using, and how Teepa supports her in that moment with the level of skill that she's shown.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, got it.
So right here, right off the bat, Teepa doesn't do what we've seen before in some of these other ones, these traditional knock knock or saying Amanda's name right off the bat. She starts doing what Amanda's doing in that moment with the same thing as a way to get in her regard, her visual regard, and to start that connection process. So Teepa doing the same thing to connect with her. So let's watch as Teepa continues to use this to connect with Amanda and how she starts to now make this transition from what she's doing with the tissue box to something else.
Got it. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You got that one. There you go. You got these. Here. Let's get that. Got it? Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Man. She got that. Oh, wow.
So what did we just pick up on there with Teepa? So as she's interacting verbally with Amanda, what is she doing with her voice and the words that she's saying? Got it. Going back to that rhythm piece. And then she, ooh, Amanda, and points down towards the floor over at some other items. So the power of that, ooh, Amanda. So try that. Ooh, Amanda, and point to it. And she's doing it in Amanda's visual field. She's again recognizing where Amanda's visual field is, and she's making sure that visual cue is in it as she does it. So let's see how she continues to help Amanda make that transition from the tissue box to the purse to some other things, and then how they transition from there to finding a chair.
Look at that. Whoa. Oh. Whoa. That is something. There you go. Wow, that's a good one, eh? Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's, oh, hey, Amanda. Yeah.
So what does Teepa realize here as she's getting into these chairs? And I know it's kind of hard for us to see, but we notice as Teepa's moving stuff around, those chairs are all kind of cluttered in one spot. So Teepa notices, ooh, shoot, there's a bunch of stuff here. So she points out, ooh, Amanda, and points down to try to get her visual regard again in the direction of there are things there to help make her aware of it. Notice what Teepa does using that rhythm retained, hand under hand, her voice, and that piece of helping her to sit down to keep her feeling safe and to do so in a safe way.
Here we go. Yeah. 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 Here we go. Here we go. Here you go. Oh, yeah. Here we go. 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 Here, here.
So she was able to use that piece to connect with Amanda as they moved around to line up with a chair in a better position, and then help to support Amanda to sit safely, to make that transition from almost about to fall or trip on all these chairs, or not sit on the chair all the way and maybe end up falling off the side, to now moving into position together, using rhythm and hand under hand, and then finding a chair in a better position and sitting in that one safely. So, chapter 6 coming up, the Pearl Gem State. With chapter 6, we're going to get a chance to explore a little bit with Teepa about that Pearl Gem State and wrap this up of how, again, we can recognize, again, where somebody's at in a gem state and be able to connect and help them to make a transition. See you there. Hey, everybody, it's Matthew. Welcome to chapter 6, talking about now how we can connect and approach somebody who is in this pearl gem state using what skills they have left, recognizing those pieces, and then being able to help make a transition into doing something else or doing something different, especially if part of our goal is to try to complete a task. So we're going to watch Teepa connect with Amanda, who's in the pearl gem state.
As a rule, what do you think from everything we've done so far are you taking away from that initiation and that assessment of that? And we're going to see whether or not Benji will cooperate for the one last gem demo or not. We'll see if we can get that last little piece to happen. He might. Okay, so we're going to show you and then we'll talk it through.
Hey, lady. Hey. Yeah, there you are. There you are. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, is that good? You like that? Yeah, that feels pretty good. Yeah. Linda. Hey. Hey. All right. So, finger pads, quick circles on the back, which you could not see, but take her from a quiet down state to more of an up state. First, physical connection at the knee, beyond the core, rhythm back and forth, right above the knee joint, on the tendon. Just rhythm, just rhythm. As all that's happening, I'm copying the sound, but it becomes a rhythmic sound, not just a sound. And I pick it up and turn it into music. But it's a fairly slow one because that's where Manda was. Shell wasn't open. And now as I'm getting connected, now and only now can I start thinking of which task, care task, I want to engage in. Because until that shell opens up a little bit, all tasks are off limits until I know she's with me a little bit. Then because we're mostly focusing here and she's got a little coughing, I might do an oral task because it's close enough to where she's paying attention right now. And it might be a face to the cheeks and the forehead before I get in the mouth area because that's higher intensity. I might take my hand, my forearm over and just start stimulating with the to see whether or not that's something she finds positive or negative. And if it is, then I've got to figure out, okay, we need mouth care. Is she choking on secretions? Is that a real cough or is it just a dry throat? But I can do a further assessment now because I actually have her with me, so I'm getting good data in. And I need the data to know what to do next with my agenda. My agenda is a care agenda. All right. So those are your positive action starters. And the positive action starter in this case, baby steps, little baby steps. And it's just one thing at a time, one thing at a time. So hopefully this session made it clearer both how the PPA and the positive personal connection and the positive action starters are all assessment tools that we use, but they're also a way to help us start where the person is, wherever they are, and modify our agenda so that we can take them from wherever they are and start a pattern of movement toward what it is we hope to achieve to support them and make life work well. I mean, that's really what we're trying to do. We're here to support. And the value of the positive action starters is that it keeps us honest, it keeps us connected, and it keeps us remembering that it's not something I want, it's something we're going to do together. So thanks, everybody. Hope it was helpful.
Let's take a look at this together and pick up on some of these skills that Teepa's using. Again, recognizing where Amanda is in this pearl gem state and using her visual, verbal, sensory motor skill, pace, and then that last piece of what Amanda's agenda could be So let's watch a little bit more, because notice how Teepa continues to stay connected with Amanda and use again the skills that she has left to keep that connection and keep it as positive as she can.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's good. I like that. Yeah, that feels pretty good. Yeah. Linda. Hey. Hey.
So we'll stop there. So what else did you pick up on there that Teepa used to get Amanda's attention and then bring that visual regard? Yeah, you got it. So she used language, but she used her name, recognizing again, boy, our name, something that we've been called many times throughout our life. It's something that even towards the end of this journey, the end of brain change, we still recognize that name and we'll give some response to. So using that name, Amanda, hey, lady, how that could bring attention, bring that visual regard towards Teepa in that moment and keep that connection going. So again, keeping in mind with someone in that pearl gem state, they're choosing or having to choose or can only really focus on one thing at a time. And if we're giving way too much at once, or not giving time for someone to respond to whatever in that moment we're giving them, that we could overwhelm that person fairly quickly and make it really hard for us to help support them in that moment. So I hope that all of these chapters going over ways to connect with folks in different gem states and help them to use those skills that they have left to make those transitions, recognizing their agenda first, and then and only then, after we help them with their agenda, making that transition to something different has helped. And we have a lot of other great resources out there that definitely dive more into working with different gem states and supporting them. But until next time, thank you, everybody. Take care with care. And we hope to see you on a different webinar or on something else that Teepa's doing. Bye, everybody.